The leak wasn't supposed to happen, not from inside a locker room. Not from a space where cameras are banned, where conversations are raw, unfiltered, and never meant to reach the outside world. But somehow, it did. And the moment it hit the internet, everything changed. Because this wasn't speculation anymore. This was real. A short clip, low quality, shaky, voices overlapping, but clear enough to feel the tension. Caitlin Clark on one side, Angel Reese on the other. No smiles, no media training, just silence, followed by words that didn't sound like teammates. And then, cut dot, gone dot, but not before people heard enough. Not before fans started replaying it, enhancing it, breaking it down like it was evidence in a case that suddenly felt bigger than basketball. Because the tone wasn't competitive, it was personal, cold, controlled, like something had been building for a long time and finally slipped out. Within minutes, social media exploded. What did she say? Why did it sound like that? That's not normal. And the scariest part? No one denied it. Not the team, not the league, not either player. Just silence. The kind of silence that doesn't calm anything down. It confirms that something happened, because locker rooms don't leak for no reason. And whatever was said in that moment was never meant to be heard long before that locker room clip ever surfaced. The tension was already there, not loud, not obvious, but real. Because Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese didn't just arrive in the WNBA as players, they arrived as narratives. Two completely different energies thrown into the same spotlight at the exact same time. And from day one, the league didn't just present them. It compared them relentlessly. Clark was labeled the generational talent, the shooter, the playmaker, the one who could change everything. Every deep three, every assist, every sold-out arena die all fed into one growing idea. She wasn't just a rookie. She was the future. And Angel Reese. She was power, emotion, presence. A player who didn't ask for attention, she demanded it. Rebounds, physicality, attitude that made headlines whether people loved it or hated it. She wasn't trying to fit into the league. She was trying to reshape how it felt. 2 stars, 2 identities, 1 spotlight, and that spotlight, it never split evenly. Because every time Clark dominated a headline, Reese's name followed, but not beside her. Behind her, as the comparison, as the rival, as the question mark in someone else's story. That's where it started. Not with hate, with imbalance at first. Stayed competitive. On the court, they went at each other like elite athletes do, hard, focused, intense. But even in those moments, there were flashes. Looks that lasted a second too long. Reactions that didn't match the play. Subtle. But there then came the media pressure. Every interview turned into the same setup. What do you think about Caitlin? How do you compare to Angel? Over and over again. Forcing a rivalry to grow faster than the relationship ever could. And rivalries don't stay clean for long. Because behind the cameras, beyond the quotes and controlled answers, emotions build differently. Teammates started noticing it first. Nothing dramatic. Just small things. Conversations that stopped when certain players walked in. Energy. Shifts during film sessions. Moments where communication felt tight. Not broken, but not natural either. Then came Team USA. A situation that was supposed to fix everything. Same jersey. Same goal. Same mission. Win. On paper. It should have erased the rivalry. Forced connection. Built chemistry. But in reality, it did the opposite, because now they weren't just competing against each other. They were forced to coexist. Same locker room, same practices, same system, and suddenly, all those differences that made them stars, they started clashing. Clark's game required control spacing, timing, decisions running through her hands. Reese's game thrived on instinct, physicality, dominance, reacting in the moment. Both styles worked, but together. Only if trust existed. And that's where things got complicated. Because trust isn't built through media narratives. It's built through moments. And early on, those moments weren't clean passes. Slightly off reads slightly delayed communication. That looked right but felt off underneath. Coaches saw it, players felt it, but nobody said it because winning covered everything until it didn't. Because once expectations rise, every small issue gets louder. And inside that locker room, under pressure, under cameras, under expectations that neither of them created but both had to carry, something started shifting, not breaking, not yet, but bending. And when things bend under pressure long enough, they don't stay quiet forever. They snap, and whatever leaked from that locker room. It wasn't the beginning of the tension. It was the first time the world heard it, the night it leaked. Everything changed because up until that moment, the tension between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese was something people felt, not something they could prove. It lived in body language, in missed connections, in interviews that sounded right, but felt off. But that clip, that made it real. It started spreading fast, first in fragments, then in full. A shaky locker room recording, clearly not meant for public eyes. No polished angles, no commentary. Just raw audio and flashes of movement. Jerseys, lockers, players in the background, and right in the center of it, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, facing each other, not yelling, not fighting, but the energy, ice cold. You couldn't hear every word clearly, but you didn't need to. Tone tells its own story. And the tone in that room wasn't competitive. It was personal at one point. A voice sharp, controlled cuts through the noise. We're not on the same page. Silence, then another. Response, lower, slower. Maybe. We're not supposed to be. That was it. That was the moment everything flipped. Because those weren't teammates trying to fix a problem. That sounded like two people accepting that something was already broken. And once fans heard that, there was no going back. The clip exploded across every platform. Millions of views in hours. Audio enhanced. Subtitles added. Lip-reading breakdowns. Everyone trying to decode every second like it held some deeper truth. And then the first shocking twist hit. The clip got taken down fast, too fast, copyright claims, platform removals, accounts flagged. Within hours, the original versions started disappearing, not just buried, targeted. Like someone didn't just want it less visible. They wanted it gone. But just like before, they were too late because copies were already everywhere. And now the deletion didn't stop the story, it validated it. Why remove it? Who reported it? That's not normal. It's because locker room leaks happen. Rare, but they happen. What doesn't happen? Immediate, coordinated attempts to erase. Then that's when the narrative shifted again. This wasn't just about tension anymore. This was about control. Control of what people see, control of what people hear. Control of a story that was suddenly slipping out of the league's hands. And once that idea hit, everything got louder. Analysts started asking questions on live TV, not direct accusations, but close enough. If there's nothing there, why act like there is? Former players hinted at it. Locker room stuff doesn't leak unless something's already wrong. That line alone changed everything, because now it wasn't just fans speculating, it was insiders confirming the possibility. And inside Team USA, silence, no statements, no denials, no taken out of context. Nothing. Caitlin Clark spoke to media the next day, calm, composed, saying all the right things. We're focused on winning. Chemistry takes time. Double quotes, standard. Control. Angel Reese. Short answers. Minimal engagement. One-word responses that felt heavier than full explanations. Next question, and that contrast. It didn't calm anything down, it made it worse. Because now people weren't just watching what they said. They were watching what they avoided. Then came the moment that made everything even more uncomfortable. Reporter bold enough to ask it directly, was there a disagreement between you and Angel in the locker room? Clark paused, just for a second, but in moments like this, a second is everything. Then she answered, "We're competitors." That's all I'll say. Not a denial, not a confirmation, just enough to keep the door open. And once that door opened, the entire league felt it. Because now this wasn't rumor. Felt it. Because now this wasn't rumor. This wasn't interpretation. This wasn't fans overreacting. This was something real enough that nobody wanted to fully address it. And that's when the biggest question started spreading, not what happened in the locker room, but how long had it been building before it finally leaked? By the next 24 hours, the situation didn't cool down. It escalated because once the locker room leak proved something was off, people stopped looking at just that moment and started digging into everything around it. Old interviews, bench reactions, timeout footage, moments that once felt normal, now looked loaded. And the more people watched, the more uncomfortable it got because a new clip surfaced. Not from the locker room. From the bench, late in the same game. Camera angle wide. Crowd loud. Easy to miss if you weren't paying attention. Caitlin Clark sitting, Angel Reese standing near the coaching staff. Coach speaking, drawing something up. Standard timeout. But then, something small happened. Clark said something quick. Direct. Reese responded immediately. Not loud, not aggressive, but sharp. And then she walked away, didn't wait, didn't engage, just turned and stepped out of the huddle. For a second before coming back at full speed. Nothing slowed down. Everything. Because that wasn't miscommunication. That looked like frustration. And once that clip connected with the locker room leak, the narrative snapped into place. This wasn't one moment. This was ongoing. And then came the second major twist. A report dropped, not from fans, not from random pages, from a verified insider. Short. Careful, but explosive sources say there have been internal disagreements regarding offensive control and player roles within Team USA. That was it. No names, but none were needed because everyone already knew offensive control. That meant Caitlin Clark. Player roles. That pointed straight at Angel Reese. And suddenly, everything made sense in the worst possible way because this wasn't just personal tension. This was structural. System level. Clark's single quotes as presence meant the offense ran through her. That's how she plays. That's how she dominates. But that system, it forces everyone else to adjust, including players who built their entire all-Q, including players and code. If you're using like a scanner app and it's like, you're gonna die, plea, look at this, look at this. And we all know, look at this. And we all know I've been exploring with IDS. It's IDT realize, T-die supporting to inbound. A left, we see play to a calf, come you love to a left, see with their identity being the focal point. Players like Reese, an adjustment under pressure. Doesn't always look clean. Sometimes it looks like hesitation. Sometimes it looks like disconnect. Sometimes it looks like what people saw in that leaked clip. And now the conversation got dangerous. Because fans weren't just asking, are they getting along? They were asking, is this system favoring one player over another? Is someone being forced into a role they don't agree with? Is this chemistry or control? And once that word entered the narrative, control, everything changed. Because now, even normal plays started looking suspicious. Clark calling for the ball, leadership, or dominance. Reese hesitating, confusion, or resistance. Every moment became two stories at once, and the media, they leaned in hard. Debate shows exploded. This is what happens when stars clash. No, this is bad coaching. No, this is ego. No one agreed, but everyone was watching because the tension was no longer hidden. It was visible. And then Something even more subtle made it worse. Another. Clip.post-practice.players leaving cameras. Rolling from a distance, Clark walking ahead, Reese behind with a teammate. Someone says something -off-camera. Reese shakes her head, not dramatic, but cleara. No, a disagreement. And right as she looks up, she sees the camera and her expression changes instantly, .neutral, .controlled, .like. A switch flipped. That moment spread faster than anything before it because it felt real, unscripted, unfiltered, unfiltered, and people noticed one thing immediately: that reaction didn't look new. It looked practiced, like someone who had been managing emotions for a while. And that's when the final realization hit the audience. This wasn't something that just happened. This wasn't caused by one game, or one play, or one comment. This had been building, quietly, privately, until it couldn't stay contained anymore. And now, with every new clip, every new report, every new breakdown, the situation wasn't just escalating, it was slipping out of control. Because the next game wasn't just another game anymore. It was a pressure test. And if even one moment went wrong, there would be no way to hide it this time. At this point, the story wasn't just inside the league anymore. It owned the entire sports world. Every major network picked it up. Every show led with it. What started as a locker room leak had now turned into a full-blown crisis. Narrative 1. That was dragging the WNBA into a spotlight it couldn't control anymore. And the fans, they weren't watching. They were choosing sides. #Team Clark exploded overnight, highlighting stats. Leadership, composure. She's carrying the system. She's doing her job. This is what greatness looks like under pressure. Then came the other side. #Team Reese. Louder, angrier, respect matters. Not everything runs through one player. Y'all are ignoring what she brings. It wasn't debate anymore. It was war. Comment sections turned toxic. Every post became a battlefield. Even neutral pages got flooded. Because this wasn't about basketball anymore. It was about identity, recognition, and who gets control of the narrative. And right in the middle of it, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, 2 players who now couldn't make a single move without it being dissected in real time. Clark stepped on the court. Next game, every possession under a microscope. Every pass analyzed. Every decision questioned. When she dominated, see, she's the system. When she missed, pressure getting to her. There was no winning. Just scrutiny. And Reese, it hit differently because now every hesitation, no matter how small, got replayed like evidence. Every missed connection turned into proof. Even her strengths started getting reframed. Aggressive rebound. Too emotional, strong presence. Disruptive. It wasn't analysis anymore. It was judgment. And you could see it on her face. That edge. It wasn't just confidence anymore. It was pressure. Because now she wasn't just playing the game. She was fighting the narrative inside the league. Things got worse. Veteran players started speaking carefully. But clearly, Aaliyah Boston dropped a subtle line in an interview. Chemistry isn't just about talent. It's about trust. Trust. That word hit hard. Because now everyone was asking us their trust in that locker room. Or is everyone just pretending there is? Then Paige Buchers, someone respected across the entire Canes. Across the entire basketball world, liked a post questioning the situation. She didn't comment, didn't explain, but she didn't unlike it either. And that silence spoke louder than anything. Because when players start reacting without speaking, it's serious. Even league officials couldn't stay invisible anymore. Kathy Engelbert addressed the media, but carefully, talking about growth, passion, intense competition. But never once saying, there's no issue. That absence, it didn't calm anything, it confirmed everything. Because if this was nothing, why not shut it down? Why not kill the story? Instead, they managed it. Soft responses, controlled messaging, trying to contain something that was already out of control and behind the scenes. Sponsors started paying attention because controversy drives views. But instability scares investment. And when your biggest stars are tied to tension, division, and possible locker room issues, that's not just drama, that's risk. Then came the moment that pushed everything to the edge: a fan. Video.courtside. Not professional. Not filtered. Just real players. Walking to the bench during a break. Clark. Sits. Reese walks past her. No eye contact. None. Not. Even a glance. In a moment where teammates naturally connect. They didn't. That clip went viral instantly because it wasn't dramatic. It was worse. It was cold. And now, the narrative wasn't just they have tension, it was they're not even trying to hide it anymore. And that's when it became clear. This wasn't fading, this wasn't getting resolved quietly. This was building toward something bigger, something that wouldn't stay contained inside a locker room, something that, if it finally exploded, could change everything about how this league handles its biggest stars. And the scariest part? That breaking point was getting closer just when it felt like the situation couldn't get any more intense. It did, because late that night, when the noise should have been slowing down, when the headlines should have been settling, something dropped that flipped the entire story on its head. Not a clip, not a rumor, up. Report. Short. Controlled, but coming from someone too connected to ignore. Multiple players held a closed-door meeting following recent internal tensions. That one line changed everything, because now, this wasn't just about Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese anymore. This was about the team, the entire locker room, and what was happening inside it, according to the report. The meeting wasn't scheduled. It wasn't planned by coaches. It wasn't media-driven. It was players only. No staff. No cameras. No filters. Just them. Which meant one thing: whatever was said in that room was serious enough that they didn't want anyone else hearing it. And that's when the real questions started. Was it about roles? Was it about leadership? Or was it about something even deeper, something that had been building long before the leak ever happened? Because when players call a meeting like that, it's not to talk, it's to confront. Then came the detail that made everything even more unsettling. 1. Insider hinted that the conversation got heated. Not physical, but close enough that voices were raised, lines were drawn, and for the first time, people didn't just feel the divide, they saw it. Because shortly after that meeting, something changed, not in words, not in behavior. Next, practice media allowed in for a short window. Cameras, rolling. Players warming up, and right there, in plain sight, Clark and Reese. Same court. Same drill. Different worlds. No communication, no interaction. Movements timed, but not connected. Like two systems running side by side, but never crossing. And the footage, it stayed up, no deletions, no edits, nothing hidden. Because this time, they couldn't hide it. It was too visible. Too obvious. Too real. And then came the final moment, the one that left everyone stuck between confusion and new certainty. Post practice media scrum. Reporters pushing harder than ever. One question, direct and unavoidable: did the team have a meeting to address internal tension? A pause. Then coach responded, "We talk about everything as a team. Careful. Controlled. But not a denial." Then they asked Clark. She nodded. Slightly. Communication is important. Again, nothing confirmed, nothing denied. And then Angel Reese. Same question. She looked at the reporter, paused, and then said, "Some things don't need to be explained to everybody." That was it. No smile, no follow, up, just walked away. And that moment, it spread faster than anything before it, because now didn't feel like speculation anymore. It felt contained, managed, like something real had happened. And everyone had agreed not to say it out loud. And that's what makes this dangerous, Because when something is real but controlled, it doesn't disappear, it builds under the surface. Waiting. Because if this is what leaked, if this is what slipped through, then what's still being held inside? What hasn't been seen? What hasn't been heard? And the biggest question of all, how long before it finally breaks? In a way they can't control anymore. Now it's on you. You've seen the clips, the locker room leak, the bench reactions, the cold moments that don't look like teammates, they look like something else. You've heard the statements that don't deny anything, just avoid it. So what do you actually believe? Is this just normal pressure between two elite competitors trying to win at the highest level? Or are we watching a real divide inside Team USA that nobody wants to admit publicly? Because if it's nothing, why the silence? Why the controlled answers? Why the closed-door meeting that nobody will explain? And if it's something, how big is it really? Drop your honest take in the comments. No safe answers. Pick a side or break it down your own way. Because this story is far from over. And if you want more deep breakdowns like this, where we don't just watch highlights, we question everything happening behind them, hit like, subscribe, and stay locked in. Because the next update might not be a leak, it might be a moment that finally exposes everything.